Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I want to thank those for here joining us tonight for the Spring Athletics Parent Meeting. I'll get started. I don't have a lot to cover tonight, so it should be less than 30 minutes in and out. If you've got questions, you can go ahead and post them in the chat, and I will. This is being recorded, and so in the next couple days, our media arts students will upload this to the website along with the slides with contact information and for more information. Again, thanks for being on. Obviously, the first day of spring practices in a normal year means that we get torrential downpours, and this year was no different. But we've had a few stretches here of nice days and opportunities for our student athletes to get started on spring sports. I'm excited that it looks like, I don't want to jinx us, but it looks like we might be headed towards a more normal season. As you know, 2 years ago, many of you experienced no spring sports, and then an abbreviated season last year, and now hopefully with some of the mandates being relaxed, us getting back closer to normal, which is exciting for our athletes for sure, and athletic directors. We've got, again, these slides will be shared with the contact information, but we've got a number of new coaches this year in a couple sports. Our varsity head softball coach, after Kevin has stepped down, is Kelly Purcell. She's done a great job in short notice of putting a staff together that was primarily there already, but is moving forward, and a lot of great things are happening there. And then our boys and girls tennis team are different from a year ago, with Miguel and Eris working together with both our boys and girls tennis team, and we're seeing great numbers with that group. If you've got specific questions related to your son or daughter's things that are coming up, questions that you have specific to the sport, I'd encourage you to reach out to these folks either through their team communication, Parent Square, or however they're communicating, or by sending them an email. They can do a good job of responding to those sports-specific questions. Talk a little bit about what's going to happen over the next couple days. I'll be reviewing all the student athletes that have signed up for spring sports. In order for them to be approved to practice, they need to have signed on Family ID, and they need a current physical on file. Both of those things are required by the state law for the physical, and then all of the waivers and agreements in the student athlete agreements on family registration. So that gets you in the queue. And then in order to compete, you need to have passed 5 classes, which equates to 2.5 credits or more in semester 1. You need to be students need to be currently enrolled in 5 or more classes in semester 2. And each 6 weeks, I'll be reviewing grades, and at each 6 weeks, they need to be passing 5 or more of those classes. If they, beyond that, they need to be on track to graduate in 4 years. And we look at, after their freshman year, we look at their progress at the end of each year. So after their freshman year, they need 4.5 credits. After their sophomore year, they need, after their sophomore year, they need 10 credits. And after their junior year, they need 17 credits in order to graduate on time. And then an added requirement is that we impact baseline test all of our student athletes every 2 years. And Family ID is great. It allows us to track those things to make sure that our kids are safe, and that they're making progress academically, and they've got their current physicals. So all of you, many of you, we've got a handful that are still waiting on some physicals, but the rest, we're in great shape. And on average, our student athletes are doing well in the classroom too. So if there are some challenges academically, there are appeals and waivers available, and I'll be working with coaches in those individual cases if we have some that are needing consideration by OSAA to be able to participate with academic challenges. Beyond those challenges, in 2021 and spilling over into 2021-22, one that is waning, I hope, and soon in the far distance, is the COVID mandates and the guidance. We've faced countless revised guidance over the last 2 years. It's made athletes and parents and families, it's been a challenge for sure. And for the most part, our parents and our athletes have been flexible, have been gracious, and done a good job of adhering to those, so that it allows our athletes to participate. And so I want to thank you ahead of time. Beyond that, we've got not only in Salem-Keizer, but throughout the state, many districts are faced with transportation availability, of bus driver shortages, and in almost every sport that requires an official, we face some official shortages. There were 14 varsity football games that were not played on a Friday night because we didn't have enough officials, and so we were moving games. We have shortages in softball and baseball umpires, and so we may have to move games, but I'm hopeful that we've balanced it out enough and work with those associations that we won't have to do that. In any season, whether it's a COVID season or officiating shortage, or in life in general, at McNary, we have a bold approach which requires flexibility, grace, and great communication. And if for some reason you feel like you're out of the loop in something, please reach out. That's the purpose of this meeting and other communication, is to make sure you guys have all of the information available to support your sons and daughters. Spring schedules, especially during the spring, are subject to change. Almost everything is posted on osaa.org. I'd encourage you to go there. It will have, when we get a rain out or a schedule change, that's the first place we go to make those changes, because it impacts the most amount of people. So before you hop in that car to head over to Bend to watch a softball game, please make sure that those things are happening. We'll do our best to communicate beyond that, and we will, but that will be the first place to find out when and where those changes are happening. Face coverings. I was tempted to remove this slide altogether from the winter parent meeting, but I was reminded that while Salem-Keizer is going on Saturday, it will be optional, indoors and outdoors, to wear a face covering. I'd ask that those that choose to wear face coverings, out of an abundance of caution, that they're treated nicely and welcomed to our events. Even we may have some student athletes that choose to continue to wear face coverings, and that's okay. That's their choice. There are districts, I don't know of any so far, maybe none, but just know that the mask mandate is a district by district decision. And so we might go to a school district or a school where they're requiring spectators to distance, to contact trace, to wear a mask. And I would just ask that we would be great guests at their facilities and honor their requests. It represents us well, and it makes the job and the work of all folks connected to athletics a much better experience when we adhere to whatever the guidance is at whatever school we go to. But if there's a game in Salem-Keizer or a contest, those masks are optional. So that's for many of us, that's great news. I always want to cover this in each of my parent meetings, and so I apologize if this is repetitive, but I think it's really, really important that I cover this when I have a chance to get in front of parents. Bruce Brown is someone that I think has done a lot to improve the student athlete experience. He's also improved the awareness of me as a parent of student athletes, but also as an administrator, and hopefully I can pass on that wisdom that he has shared with me and hundreds of thousands of others across the country. The biggest thing that he talks about is releasing the child to the game, and that is just honoring our kids' primary reason for playing, and that's enjoyment. And as parents, self-included, we can get wrapped up in things outside of that enjoyment, coaching philosophy, officiating decisions or calls, and that falls outside of the bounds of releasing them to that game. So the things that they face and the challenges that they face is a great learning experience within athletics. Having a conversation with a coach, a difficult conversation with a coach, is something that will benefit them moving forward. We want this to be a learning environment, not only in the classroom, but also in the athletic realm as well. Our kids, like I said, have different expectations. Many of them want to play after high school, but some don't. And some are enjoying the sport because their friends are playing. And we need to honor and accept what their rationale is for playing. And I think that's a really important stance to take as we parent our kids in athletics. Another thing that Bruce talks about is modeling poise and confidence. And I think that's critical in the environment we're at now. There's a lot of strong opinions about a lot of things, athletics included. And if we're modeling something other than poise and confidence, it just adds the level of stress that our kids are playing. It also impacts our availability for folks entering officiating and coaching realm if we're battling some things that are within our control. The other thing is that kids as well as adults need time to process, and so providing time and space for before a conversation's had about why did you take that shot, or what is the coach thinking, or thing like that. Give your son or daughter some time to do some self-reflection. Oftentimes, if they're struggling with something, they'll come to you and talk that out, and that's a great opportunity for you to work and counsel and encourage your son or daughter. If you're the source behind those initial conversations, it can go wrong. You can go sideways pretty quick. And so just giving them time and space. I would say the same thing for coaches. Many of them, myself included in the coaching realm, get pretty amped up for games, and our focus is on a team perspective, and we do a lot of self-reflection after contests as well. And so the questions you're having about why did we go for it on 4th and 1 are the same questions that coach is asking himself. And so if you're wanting to have a conversation, give them some time and space, and reach out to them. And I think that a lot more productive conversations are had when conversations are planned. the thing that would trump that is if you see your son or daughter doing something that isn't representative of what you would want as a parent, certainly you would address those behaviors or actions right away. That's our role as parents, for sure. But, again, the other idea is that we all as parents have a perspective that focuses on our kids, and we should, but that's your perspective and your priority of a coach, and the priority of teaching student athletes is to have a team philosophy or a team focus. And so that's what needs to happen. And that includes attendance. When a starting pitcher chooses to take their senior pictures on a Thursday after school and miss practice, that impacts the entire team. Those things are important and should happen. But if we can work and communicate with coaches, knowing ahead of time, well in advance, that there's an upcoming orthodontist appointment or wisdom teeth being pulled or other things that are going on, early communication is always the best, and valuing their participation in everything, and specifically in practices, I think is really, really important. And then finally, healthy communication. It is again a great learning opportunity for players to self-advocate for themselves, to talk to a coach and express their dreams, their desires, their goals, their frustrations. And that is the best perspective for a coach to provide feedback and to get an understanding of where they're at. If a kid is hurt or down or struggling for whatever reason, and that's not communicated to the coach, it's hard for a coach to respond or coach those instances if they're not aware of it. And so the player to coach communication is great. Sometimes those conversations aren't productive, or answers aren't met, or there's still some questions, and they might need some help with a parent being there involved. And so again, a parent and a player coming to a coach and having a conversation, I think, is always healthy. When you remove one of those parts, the communication gets really hard, because then we're speaking about perspectives outside of ourselves, and those are always skewed. And so it's really important that we follow that. And then again, those conversations might not be successful either. And I'm happy to intervene or mediate a follow-up conversation in a way to move forward. When we go that pathway, resolutions rarely have to come or be determined by the athletic director. They're usually handled at the first level and in a way that is positive and productive. If we go the reverse order, there's a lot of unpacking and a lot of things that have to happen, and it becomes more challenging if we skip steps or we go in a reverse order. And so I just encourage you to try to follow that protocol of parent to coach, or excuse me, player to coach, and then player and parent to coach, and then if need be, the athletic director or another administrator being involved. It just helps that process move along much faster. And so I welcome those conversations, and it's an opportunity for me to learn as well. And I'd love for our coaches to have an opportunity to advocate for their program as well as your son or daughter. The best line that I get from Bruce Brown, and the best feedback you can give your kids, because it's true, is you love watching them play, and you love seeing them out there. You see them, love them being part of a team. And so after a game, that comment, "I love watching you play," is true. And it's one thing that can really invest and build up your son or daughter. And it's a team perspective as well. It doesn't sabotage relationships within the team. So anyway, just some food for thought. I love talking about this stuff. I think it's really, really important. And if you ever want to sit down and expand on this, my door is wide open. I think this is really, really important stuff. It's what motivates me to stay in this work and in working with our young student athletes. That's in a nutshell the presentation. I wanted to get some things because I've got a captive audience, and some of you are more than just spring athletes or spring athlete parents of spring athletes. We've got for our senior athletes that are going on to play to compete at the collegiate level. We've got an athletic signing event that'll be April 25th. Depending on the numbers, that might be in the auditorium or it will be in the library, are our two places that will likely happen. Cheer tryouts for next season will be on the 28th and 29th. You can reach out to Kayla or the athletic department if you want more information regarding that. Our McNary Athletic Booster Auction, who have done some amazing things, and that auction is, we get to announce some more really neat projects on the horizon, and it's a great way to support, and it's a great event. That's June 4th, Saturday, June 4th. For you that are making summer plans, a great week for family getaways and other things is July 24th through the 30th. That's when there will be no activities happening at McNary. It's an OSAA moratorium week. And so it's a great time to get away and take a breath before fall starts. Our first practices start August 15th, and Blue Day returns, which I'm excited about, that Saturday on August 20th. I don't know why that face covering, I think that was from a prior slide that I missed and copied and pasted, so that's not relevant here. And a few other things. So please mark those on your calendar, attend if you can, and plan accordingly as we move into post-spring sports. That was quick, about 20 minutes. Some information here. Again, these slides will be shared with the group or on the website. Our athletic trainer, Zoe, does a great job. That's her email if you've got questions. Our athletic website, if you just go into, it's at gocelts.com, but you can also get there from our homepage. OSA.org helps with schedules, and the NFHS network isn't really relative or nothing pertinent this spring, although we probably will be posting or videoing a graduation from the NFHS network, which is exciting. I'll stay on for a couple minutes. I'll turn off my camera. You guys are welcome to leave. If you've got some questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I can either answer them or add them to the slides when we post them later this week. Thanks, and have a great night.